dinner. Hello, Louisville. This is yours truly, Janice Carter Miller. Welcome to Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And tonight, I have a very special guest, a young man that's been very active um, in the political scene in the city. I'm going to let him tell you all about who he is and what he does. His name is Mr. Chase Sanders. Hi, Chase.
Hello, how are you, Miss Janice?
I'm wonderful. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Look, tell me about it. We
Yes,
sitting up,
ma'am.
being able to talk about it and be happy about something. And I'm happy about this show, and I'm happy that you're my guest this evening. I introduced you, and I told the audience that you're a young man that's been involved, uh, kind of politically in the political realms of the city. But tell them about who you are and what you do, Chase.
Yes, well, my background, of course, is in public service and government. I've, worked everywhere from D.C. in the White House to the local congressional office with Congressman Yarmouth's office and the mayor's office, and also with the Metro Council as well, and worked behind the scenes with some activists in town and just supporting nonprofits as well. So, like I said, I enjoy, uh, being a part of the community and taking action where it's needed and being with the people.
Okay, all right. So now, one reason that I wanted to have you on is because you're a young man, and I need to get, that youthful perspective about racism, how you view it now. Now, you say you are in that age realm of being what is called a millennial.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I
Okay,
am.
tell me about y'all millennials, because I'm trying to figure it all out.
Hey, well, we bring the numbers, so there's a
All
lot of
right,
us,
true.
um, and we have a very, very strong section of the community and the country right now, with it being election time. So I think you could say easily that the millennials have the largest generation of voting. Uh,
Large voting
of
block.
the Yes, we are the largest voting block right now. And I think what you have seen, especially in 2020, with all that's happening, uh,
Hmm.
the the positive and the negative, I would say you're starting to see the millennials step up to the plate. We've always, I think, been that internet generation, that gotta have it now generation. Sometimes I think it gets a bad spin put on it that we're impatient, but you're starting to see now that we show up when it matters. And you talk about racism and the activism that has come as of the latest, I guess,
Hmm.
unfortunate circumstances with Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. The millennials have really, really taken charge. You see them out in droves, regardless of race, ethnicity.
True.
Um, we are very active, and we work together. We work together very well.
Tell me this. What is it with the want it now? You want instant gratification. I
That's
guess
right.
that's what you'd say.
Yes.
And so what do you think is the motivating source behind that?
We grew up, and I think you can, as you take a quick look back, and being a 90s kid myself, um, we were used to having the internet in our homes. We were that first generation. We were the
True.
first
Okay.
generation where everyone was encouraged, or we were trying to get on the right track to have computers in the homes growing up, or in schools being exposed to them. Um, so with that advancement in technology, being able to have it now, you talk about Amazon being the largest company in the world, and the most impactful company in many aspects right now, where you can order something one day and have it on your front door the next day. We've just grown accustomed to that. That's the environment that we've grown in. And I think, uh, like I said before, it's sort of given a bad label
Okay.
to my generation in the past, but I think now that's actually something that's positive because we are in a time where we need to see positive action. We need to see change, and we want to see it now.
Yeah.
That's how my generation is.
It's funny because I actually thought that my generation was the largest voting bloc, baby boomers like me and your mama,
Yes,
so, but now we look to you because you all have a different approach. And from what you've seen going on in the city, Chase, what's your take on what's happening, where we are, and how can we get to another place, a better place
hmm
with
well,
racism?
right. You know, as far as what's happened in the city, um, unfortunately, with the death of Breonna Taylor, the murder really of Breonna Taylor, it's a sad circumstance, and of course, it's gone on for generations. It's I think it came to a precipice at the moment that it did because of the coronavirus and uh, the economy being shut down for a while there, and everyone sort of not having any other news going on. But I will say that with where we are now at this juncture in our community, um, we need to take major steps in a positive direction, like you said. We currently, I will say, I read that the mayor, for instance, he just uh, agreed to a new contract with the police, the Fraternal Order of Police. And
Hmm.
I would say, I don't think that that's major change. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking just for the mayor to pay, for instance, police officers to live in certain communities, a couple extra $1,000. We're looking for change as far as how the police treat us and
Right.
respect us,
Right.
because what has gone on for so long, and I can say also as a millennial that one thing that we tend to do is, although we may not say it out front, we know where we came from and the path that was tread before us, and that we know that this disrespect from the police has gone on for too long. Um, I think another aspect as millennial that we bring to the table is we're not afraid to say what's on our minds, and we're starting to see that,
True that.
you know, and
Yeah.
we're acting on that now, and we just really have to be able to have a seat at the table when decisions are made, uh, that concern the safety and well-being of our people and of our community as a whole. We really do.
You know, I really didn't expect when they made that announcement about that the city signed a new contract with the police. It was like, so I thought maybe they would be going to the table to sit down together to work out the changes that needed to be made before just giving them a new contract. Because one of the things that seems to be sticking point for me is that qualified immunity.
Hmm.
Um, Anybody else? Well, I saw a case that was maybe down in Texas, and a black police officer shot a white man who was a uh, suspected drug dealer, but he was charged and sent straight to jail.
Yes,
Now we have going on what 7, 8 months, but it's slowly unraveling.
it
This whole
is.
case with Brianna is slowly unraveling, but we're trying to see um, where we go, and I think we're going to get there. It's going to take a minute, but we're going to get there with the
Yes,
case with Brianna because we still have the FBI involved. This PIU unit, the Police Integrity Unit. I don't think you can have the Fox, watching the Fox.
right.
You know, you have to have someone outside, and I think actually now we do need a special um, prosecutor for this case. I want to move on. Chase, tell me, how do you see this election coming out? How do you see that? Um, are we going to be truly affected by voter suppression in Louisville here? Now we've got 20. We've got
Well, I
20
will.
voting stations.
Right,
20.
right.
Okay.
I will say, we our state, not just our city, but our state did a great job back in the spring,
Okay.
or back in when we had the primary, and we had sort of like a dry run, as you may call it,
Right.
practice run to see how it is to vote. If you want to vote by mail, we know what we need to do. We know what the process is supposed to be like, and now we have a few more accessible points to be able to vote. We don't just have the one location at the fairgrounds this time. I think they've done a good job by trying to, expound upon that and make sure that we have accessible points across the county, and being able to make sure that you can go and vote early as well if you want to
Right.
go to the post to vote, or the poll, excuse me. Uh, but I will say where the challenge and where the voter suppression, I believe, will come into play and affect a lot of us will be on the national level, on the federal level, coming right out of the White House. And
Mm.
I've warned a lot of people because back during the primaries, even though the president wasn't running, you heard President Trump saying, well, I don't trust, uh, you know, voting by mail. I don't trust mail-in ballots. I don't. There's a lot of
And the
voter
ballots.
fraud.
Yeah. This whole ballot
There's a lot
thing.
of voter fraud that can occur. And what you have seen since that point, even though, mind you, there was no voter fraud that was,
Right.
found to be committed. What you've seen since that point in time is that he has taken uh, shifts away from our mail carriers and our workers in the U.S. postal system. He has taken machines, sorting machines,
Right.
out
Broke them
of
down.
right, taking them
Right.
out. I mean, for instance, and this has been, going on for a few months now,
Right.
and that's the scary part because looking forward, what's going to happen is that on election night, just as we've seen over the past week, his crowds are not afraid to show up without mask on. Not that we as liberals and Democrats are afraid to show up, but we're smart and we use our
Thank you.
intellect. We use our intellect and we say, well, if I can vote from home, I'm going to vote from home. I'm going to, keep myself out of harm's way. And his crowds are going to show up just like they do to his rallies. Um, and they're going to show up to vote. And on election night, what will happen is it's going to look like he's winning.
Right.
Although, we know, and I'm very confident, God willing, that we have a fair election, that we will have a President Joe Biden by the end of the election, by the end of the time they count all the votes for the election. But what's going to happen is Trump, he's going to say, it's the end
And
of the
let me
night,
say
and I
this,
and I
Chase,
won.
not just a fair election, a safe election.
That's right.
This stuff is sounding crazy to me.
Exactly.
I
And
mean,
it's not going to stop.
from
It will not stop even on election night.
no, it won't.
He's going to say, first of all, he's going to declare that he's the winner because he's going to say, we've never, he's going to use it in the scope of his lifetime and say, we've never, not had a president be able to say on election night that they've won and I'm winning right now, so I won. And that's going to be a big catastrophe. And then when the votes do come in, however long that takes, just because none of us have been used to that, it's gonna be an uncomfortable time for
Situation.
maybe everyone. Yes, for
Yes.
everyone, it's
Let
gonna
me
be
ask you this.
another.
Since you've been through and a part of even working with politicians when they were running, um, how do you see that we can? Number one, I think we have to tell our community, don't believe the hype.
Right.
Don't believe the hype. Just everything you hear coming up on this election night, you cannot believe. And especially if it goes maybe the other way. Just don't believe the hype. Don't let them play us out of pocket.
Right.
We have to know um, what's true and what's not true. But we also need to know that we won't be intimidated. Intimidation is not how democracy works.
That's
In
exactly right.
my viewpoint, it's not how democracy works. So, I've already picked it. Look, I took my ballot to the election center because they even took the mailboxes off the street.
Mm,
So I took care of that part, because we're
okay.
trying to stay safe since I am a baby boomer. I have to protect myself. Um, but is there anything that you would like to see happening along the lines of racism in this city? Let me say this before I go. Um, before I go there, we were talking about the voting, that they can vote at the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage down on 18th and Muhammad Ali. You said they'll be voting at the Yum Center.
Yes, ma'am.
There's someplace else that they're voting
That's
in the
correct.
West.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I don't know if it's Central High School or not. The Yum Center, the Expo Center, and the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage on 18th. So if you, our listeners, didn't know that, now you know. And if you don't know where you can go in your community, you need to. I should have had a number to check on where to call, but call the Board of Elections. Call Bobby Holzclaw's office.
That's right. You
You got
can
something to add
check
to
the
that?
Jefferson County. Yes, ma'am. You can check the Jefferson County clerk's website, and uh, they have a page where you can just type in your address, and they'll tell you which centers are in the closest vicinity to you. Or you can type in, of course, where you work. So if you're leaving the office and you're going home, or you want to go on your lunch break and be able to vote, you can vote at the center that is closest to where you are, because that is one of the most positive things that I can see in looking back on, the past, I would say 50 years. This is the year that we as a people do not have an excuse to show up, um, figuratively or literally, and vote. We really have an opportunity to let our voices be heard. Even though we may not get those results immediately, like I said before, by the time it's all said and done, uh, our voice will be heard as one, and it will ring loudly. I have faith in that. And I do have faith in the process this time around.
Okay. Well, Chase, I want to thank you for taking your time out to join me tonight. You've been a
Yes,
big
ma'am.
help to me. I want to let everybody know that while I was putting this show together and I was doing mock interviews, that Chase was there for me on several occasions. He came to dinner. I actually fed him dinner. Um,
That's
so,
right. It
but
was great.
but when we get to that point where we can actually sit down and have this conversation over dinner, I'd love to have you back. And
Oh,
if there's
thank you. I would
anything
love to
that
be
comes
back.
up that is of great importance to you that you want to share with the community, don't hesitate to call your Auntie Janice.
Oh, I certainly will. And I do want to add one more thing as far as,
Sure.
like we were talking about, race in the community goes. Uh, One important decision that our mayor has to make is who, because he's the only one that can make this decision, is who the next police chief is going to be. And I think it's important this time that we do have someone in that spot that is from Louisville. I think he made a great selection in an interim police chief with uh, his current selection. And I would really like to see, number one, it be someone from Louisville or no, one, it being African American, that they be from Louisville as well.
Number one. Yes.
Yes. So um, I just wanted to put that out there, and I'm excited, like I said, to hear and know because I have a lot of confidence in Chief Gentry, not just Colonel Gentry anymore, but Chief Gentry and her ability and capabilities, because I know she's not messing around and she gets the job
Well,
done.
you know, I'd like to see her have that job.
I really
Period.
would
Not
too.
interim, but
Right.
I heard through the grapevine that she's not interested in a long-term run at this.
Well,
But
I
maybe over
understand that.
time,
That's her decision. Hmm.
yeah, maybe over time we can do some convincing. We have to do some schmoozing
Yes.
because I plan to reach out to her and let her know just how much the community really appreciates having her in the position of interim chief. And I thought that was an excellent decision. Excellent
Yes.
decision. I mean,
Yes.
it
And
kind of,
I don't see.
she, go on.
I was going to say, you always hear about every time a position opens up, whether it's at any level, whether it's police or professional level, they want to do a national search and bring in a search committee. That's not necessary. We have the talent and
Right,
the right fit for that position here in our hometown.
right. That's what I felt when they were doing a national search for school superintendent, but polio was fighting for that job.
That's right.
Polio
That's
wanted
right.
that job.
He did.
So I want to say thank you, my darling. And like I said, feel free to call me and come back. And if there's information that you have access to that you want to share with us, please come back and do that.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
thank you for joining us for dinner.
Well, thank you for having me as always, and I appreciate it. And I will be back soon.
Thank you, darling. Take care, Chase.
You too.
Bye bye. Well, that was Mr. Chase Sanders. And what I like to do is I'm going to have different ages of individuals in the city to come forth. High school students, baby boomers, people that want to be heard, people that have something to say, and we're going to continue to try to find some solutions. Tonight, I guess we just touched on the fact that maybe um, we can have a conversation. That there needs to be a conversation with the police department about what their role is going to be, what the changes are going to be in the police department. But that's just one of the areas where we are faced with uh, racist policies, racist behavior. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you for joining me and stay tuned for part 2. Ciao.